Thanks for putting my name on here. Amy Downing, Ohio Wesleyan University, another small liberal arts college of undergraduate-only institution. So the general theme of my research has always been about trying to understand the consequences of biodiversity and the changes in biodiversity for ecosystem function and stability. I'm a freshwater ecologist, so that's usually my system I work in. I typically approach things experimentally, like those cattle tanks you see there. So we take the natural community and put it into the tanks, and it's great because you can manipulate very artificially diversity and composition of food webs, you know, one species, two species, and so on. But you can also manipulate it using more natural ways or drivers of diversity, so you can allow connection to a metapopulation, so experimentally facilitated immigration, which can alter diversity. You can also do anthropogenic drivers, like start with hyperdiverse communities and reduce diversity through pesticides or nutrients. So they're a really great system to do lots of experiments related to biodiversity and changes in biodiversity, and focus primarily on the plankton because they have really fast generation time, so you can get lots of data in a short period of time. So I've used these systems to largely explore questions of biodiversity and changes in biodiversity for ecosystem function. So that's been a large chunk of what I've done. This summer, I'm currently part of a multi-investigator study. 20 of us are doing the same experiment across sites across temperate USA, Europe, and Canada. And so we're setting up an identical experiment in these cattle tanks, looking at the effects of road salt on plankton communities. So it's a fun way to use these systems to ask whether or not we see similar changes in the food webs across spatial and environmental gradients. And then a lot of my work has really been focused primarily recently on biodiversity and ecological stability from the population, community, and ecosystem level. So I sort of go from population to ecosystem. And this area struggles from jargon and very many different definitions of stability. And one particular area I'm focusing on now is the fact that theoreticians focus on one aspect of stability, typically derived from the community matrix, like asymptotic stability, assuming an equilibrium view of the world. Empiricists typically look at temporal variability, like population dynamics through time, and often it's unclear whether we're talking about the same thing or not. So we're currently taking time series data from our experimental systems and we can convert them into community matrices using multi-autoregressive modeling, and then calculate stability measures that the theoreticians use and try and better integrate theory and empirical work. So that's kind of what I'm doing. All with undergraduates.